Les enfants terribles. The terrible children. That's what the project was called. It started in the 1970s. Their plan was to artificially create the most powerful soldier possible. The person that they chose as the model was the man known then as the greatest living soldier in the world.
Big Boss.
But Father was wounded in combat and already in a coma when they brought him in. So they created us from his cells, with a combination of 20th century analog cloning and the super baby method.
Super baby method.
They fertilized an egg with one of Father's cells, and then let it divide into 8 clone babies. Then they transferred the clones to someone's uterus and later intentionally aborted 6 of the fetuses to encourage strong fetal growth. You and I were originally octuplets.
Octuplets?
Yes. The other 6 of our brothers were sacrificed to make us. We were accomplices in murder before the day we were even born. So it was you and I, 2 fertilized eggs with exactly the same DNA. But they weren't finished yet. They used me as a guinea pig to create a phenotype in which all of the dominant genes were expressed to create you. I got all of the recessive genes. You took everything from me before I was even born. But you and I aren't his only children.
What?
The genome soldiers. They too are his progeny, carrying on his genetic legacy. But they're different. They're digital. With the completion of the Human Genome Project, the mysteries of humanity were laid bare. Thanks to Father's DNA, they were able to identify more than 60 soldier genes responsible for everything from strategic thinking to the proverbial killer instinct. Those soldier genes were transplanted into the members of the next generation special forces. That's how they became the genome soldiers. That's right. The genome soldiers that you've been killing are our brothers with the same genes as ours.
The genome soldiers?
That's right. They are our brothers, created artificially through the alignment of nucleotides to mimic our father's genes. They too are the product of numerous sacrifices.
Sacrifices?
Human experiments! 1991, the Gulf War. The military secretly injected soldiers with the soldier genes. The Gulf War syndrome that hundreds of thousands of returning soldiers complained about was a side effect of it.
Ha! Everyone knows that the Gulf War syndrome was caused by exposure to depleted uranium used in the anti-tank rounds.
That was just a cover story issued by the Pentagon. First they tried to say it was post-traumatic stress disorder, then chemical or biological weapons. The poison gas detection units and the anti-sarin injections, they were all just a cover-up of the secret genetic experiments.
So then, the so-called Gulf War babies that have been reported by Gulf War veterans are...
Yes. They too are our brothers and sisters.
So the genome soldiers mean that the experiments were a success?
Success? Don't be a fool. They're a complete failure. We are on the verge of extinction.
What?
Have you ever heard of the asymmetry theory? Nature tends to favor asymmetry. Those species which have gone extinct all show signs of symmetry. The genome soldiers suffer from the same problem. Signs of symmetry. So do I. As do you. That's right. We are all on the verge of death at the genetic level. We don't know when or what type of disease will occur. That's why we need the old man's genetic information.
You want Big Boss's DNA so you can save your family? It's very touching.
In nature, family members don't mate with each other, and yet they help each other to survive. Do you know why? It increases the chance that their genes will be passed on to a new generation. Altruism among blood relatives is a response to natural selection. It's called the selfish gene theory.
You're telling me that your genes are ordering you to save the genome soldiers?
You can't fight your genes. It's fate. All living things are born for the sole purpose of passing on their parents' genes. That's why I'll follow what my genes tell me. And then I'm going to go beyond, in order to break the curse of my heritage. And to do that, first, I will kill you. Look behind you!
Meryl! Is she alive?
I'm not sure. She was alive a few hours ago. Poor girl kept calling your name.
Meryl.
Stupid woman. Falling in love with a man who doesn't even have a name.
I have a name.
No! We have no past, no future, and even if we did, it wouldn't be truly ours. You and I are just copies of our father, Big Boss.
Let Meryl go.
As soon as we've finished our business, we're almost out of time.
You're talking about Foxdie.
No. It seems now that the Pentagon knows that Metal Gear is destroyed. They've arrived at a decision. They won't even need a BDA. If you want the details, why don't you ask your precious Colonel Campbell?
I love how he expands the abbreviation in the subtitles. Unnecessary,
Colonel,
but
can
it's
you
cool.
hear me?
Yes, I'm listening.
What is the Pentagon trying to do? Colonel, answer me.
The Secretary of Defense has taken over active control of this operation. He's on his way there by AWACS.
What for?
To bomb the place.
What?
Not only that, B-2 bombers just lifted off from Galena Air Force Base. They're carrying B-6113 surface-piercing tactical nuclear bombs.
What? Metal Gear is destroyed. Tell the Secretary of Defense.
The Secretary of Defense heard that Naomi double-crossed us, and he's worried about Foxdie. Now that there's no more danger of a nuclear strike from Metal Gear, he's going to do whatever's necessary to cover up the truth of what really happened here.
He's going to drop a nuclear bomb to vaporize all the evidence long
I love the codec call coming up like here. It's like one of my favorite parts of this game.
Stop the nuclear
When
strike.
Jim Houseman pops up.
I may only be a figurehead here.
Coming up in about
I'm
a minute,
still
I'd
officially
say.
in command of this mission. If I issue an order to delay the strike, it'll confuse the chain of command and at least buy you some time. It'll give you a chance to escape.
But, Colonel, if you do that...
It's okay, Snake. The truth is, Foxhound was already the subject of an undercover investigation. Merrill was transferred to this base just before the terrorist attack as a way of manipulating me.
Those bastards.
I'm sorry. They forced me to cooperate in exchange for her life. You better get out of there, Snake.
Are you sure? It'll be bad for you.
Don't worry. It's the least I can do for you, after all the lies.
Colonel.
I'm ordering them to cancel the bombing run. After that, there's no turning back. What? What are you doing? What?
Snake!
Mei Ling, what happened to the Colonel?
I don't believe it.
What happened?
Snake the Colonel!
I love this guy over here.
Roy Campbell has been relieved of duty. This is the Secretary of Defense, Jim Houseman.
Put the Colonel back on.
He's been placed under arrest for leaking top-secret information and for the crime of high treason.
Ridiculous.
Yes, he's a ridiculous man. He truly believed that he was in command of this operation.
You bastard.
There won't be a speck of evidence left. I'm sure the President would want the same thing.
President ordered this?
The President is a busy man. I have complete authority here.
How do you plan on explaining a nuclear attack on Alaska to the media?
Don't worry. We've prepared a convincing cover story. We'll simply say that the terrorists exploded a nuclear device.
Smart. You'll be murdering everyone here. The scientists, the Genome Army, everyone.
Donald, the DARPA chief, is already dead.
So, you didn't mean to kill the DARPA chief after all?
He was my friend.
And you could care
I don't
less about what
understand
happens
what
to
he
everybody
means by
else,
that.
huh?
Well, if you give me the optic disc, I might consider saving them.
What are you talking about?
Metal Gear's test data. Donald was supposed to bring it back.
I don't have it.
I see. Oh well, that's okay. You two are an
Snake said so you didn't mean to kill the DARPA chief after all. But Jim Houseman didn't do it. That was Ocelot. Ocelot accidentally killed the DARPA chief.
Well, the bombs will be dropping soon, and you two have a lot of catching up to do. Farewell.
I gotta say, I love Jim Houseman. I love his voice. It's just, you know, this is where things are getting really dramatic. It's just, I don't know. I just really love that character. He's a lot of fun. It's a shame because this is the only time he ever appears in the whole series. That one codec call is the only time he ever appears. From what I understand, that there's some sort of novelization about Metal Gear Solid which references Jim Houseman. It basically explains what happens to him between Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2.
She'll make a beautiful sacrifice.
It's a shame they didn't like bring him in for the sequels or anything like that, because I think for that one codec conversation he pops up in, I think he's a pretty, I don't know, just
For our final battle.
a fun character, it
This
seems.
nuclear module is set to detonate at the precise moment of her death. If you win, you might still be able to save her.
This final boss fight has a timer.
You could enjoy one brief moment of love before the end. If you cross
This is an unskippable cutscene, and when the gameplay begins, the timer goes to 2 minutes 30 seconds. But if you die and continue, from that point onwards, they give you 3 minutes every time during the fight.
Have at you, Snake.
And I think I'm gonna give it a break at that point. I'm gonna save the game, I'll come back to it. I'll finish it off some other time. I've been playing this a while now. I think I've been playing it for like 5 or 6 hours straight,
Snake,
with a short break in the middle.
Don't
Oop,
die,
no, I meant to save.
Snake? Win, Snake, win!
Okay, thank you, Mei Ling.
Have at you, Snake.
Okay, so I'm back and I'm probably gonna, well, there's no probably here. I'm definitely gonna beat the game in this sitting. I will say right now I'm probably gonna die a few times on this fight. I could never figure out the pattern. I would say it seems random, but I'm sure there's some way to work out this pattern. But I've never been able to. And actually, before we keep going, let's give everyone a call. Oh yeah, of course, Campbell, I was about to say. Well, no point in calling Miller, obviously. I'll call.
If you look like you're about to fall off the back of Rex, press any button rapidly. You'll be able to climb up more quickly.
Okay.
Snake, it is just you and Liquid now. There is no advice I can give you. Trust yourself. You have got to win.
No, guess that's really it. Yeah, okay, I need to stop falling for that. Obviously for that you just press circle once, and then after he's swung for you, then you counter. Try now? Nope. Yeah, that's how you do it. And I missed. Except for the kick. That timer isn't much of a problem. I don't really, the timer really, if ever, runs out with me. The only danger really, for me, is actually losing all my health from Liquid. Don't get me wrong, I have, the timer has expired on me once or twice before. But it's just, it doesn't happen often. Gotta watch out for that headbutt move as well. I think that takes off a really big chunk of health. Swing. Who's doing it again? on. Pretty much even Stevens with our health. Nope. That's one thing which is kind of annoying. When you get when his health is this low, if you kick him, he like flies back onto the floor, and you have to wait for him to get back up. Oh, I can't believe I actually stopped in mid-charge. Unsurprisingly, though, I died. It's what I expected. I mean, it's a pretty tricky boss fight, I'd say. At least we got 3 minutes now. Not that we really need 3 minutes, but whatever. Yeah, not falling for that this time. Like, he seems to have a pattern at this part of the fight, this first part, but as he begins to lose health, he becomes way more unpredictable. This bit is pretty much self-explanatory. Almost missed. Trying to bait him. Nope, that's not good. I've seen a lot of people badmouth this fight as well. A lot of people say it's boring, they expected something more from the final fight. I mean, after all of these really crazy epic boss fights with like Psycho Mantis, a ninja, Metal Gear Rex, you know, it just boils down to a fist fight. A lot of people, I've seen a lot of people complain about that, saying it's really lame. I don't know, I never thought of it like that. I don't know, I don't see anything wrong with it just ending with a fist fight. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, in terms of the story, it's pretty exciting. In terms of gameplay, I don't know. I think it's fun. Like, apparently a lot of people disagree, but I think it's a fun fight. I know it's just fist fighting, you just tap and circle, but I like it. I just saw that coming. It's gonna charge. Come on, get up. Okay. Here we go.
Meryl. Meryl?
Snake, is that you? Snake, oh, you're alive! Thank God.
Meryl. Meryl, are you okay?
Are you okay? Is that all you can say?
Meryl.
This is obviously common knowledge to those of you who have played the game, but if you haven't played the game, there are actually two endings here. If you submit during the torture with Ocelot, then Meryl is dead in this scene. But if you don't submit, which I didn't, she's obviously alive.
Just like you.
The ending where she dies is actually pretty grim as well. Feel really bad for all of the characters involved. You have Solid Snake blaming himself, obviously, and then Campbell, who is like tearing up over it. It's actually quite, pretty depressing.
Sorry.
Don't say that. But it made me realize something. During all the pain and shame, there was one thing I was sure of. A single hope that I held on to. And that hope kept me alive. Snake, I wanted to see you again.
Meryl. That's my Kodak.
Snake. It's me.
Otacon, good news. Meryl's okay.
All right. You saved her, man. Good job.
I got some bad news, too. We're about to be bombed.
Oh, boy. I guess we're considered expendable.
Is there a way out of here?
A way out? Yeah. You can take the loading tunnel to the surface. There's a parking garage right next to you. The tunnel leads from there to the surface.
The door in front?
No. It's a small entrance to the west of that door.
How about the security?
I just unlocked it. Who do you think you're talking to? I'll take care of security along your escape route, too.
What are you going to do?
Me? I'll stay here.
Are you crazy?
I need a little more time to take care of your escape route.
But...
Unlocking the security doors is difficult work. Only I can do it.
Otacon.
Don't worry. I'm staying here. It's my own decision.
Otacon, this is a hardened shelter, but they're going to use a surface-piercing nuclear bomb. It won't hold.
I'm through regretting the past. Life isn't all about loss, you know. Snake, I'm a complete person now. I've found a reason to live.
Good. Don't die on me.
Same to you. Take care of Meryl, okay?
I will.
Okay, I gotta go. I promise I'll do something about your escape route.
Thanks.
Thanks? Well, that sounds nice.
I believe in you.
Thanks, Snake.
Thinking back to that Liquid fight now, I'm pretty sure Liquid says that the bomb during the fight was set to explode when Meryl dies. But as we just seen in this cutscene, she is alive, and she wasn't going to die. So why would the bomb explode anyway? Because if you waited for that time of the run out during the fights, it would blow up and you would get a game over screen, so...
And I don't want it to be in vain.
But as we see in this cutscene, she's okay. She wasn't going to die anyway, so... Well, what's the deal with that? Or did I mishear him? I'm pretty sure he said that the bomb would explode when she dies. I don't know, I guess it's just a game thing. Doesn't make sense. Just run with it. Just go with it. Don't question it.
Snake.
Meryl. It started.
I must be heavy.
Looks like we're not gonna have a love scene after all.
Looks that way. Too bad.
Let's get out of here.
Snake, it's freezing outside. You need some clothes.
There's my sneaking suit.
Hurry up. Hurry! Looking good, Snake.
Now in the final stretch of the game, no more boss fights, just one little sequence left. Well, I don't think you could consider the truck sequence a boss fight. There's a food ration in the room coming up if I remember right.
I'll drive. Damn, a surveillance camera.
No,
Damn,
no.
no keys. All right, keys.
That's what I was looking for, okay.
I got it, Snake.
Let me on.
Jump in. Fire that machine gun with your weapon gun. Shoot him, Snake. Snake, hold on.
I'm not really too fond of this final sequence here. It's just... You know, it was made back in the PS1, so obviously it's limited. It's just the machine gun and everything, it's just... It doesn't feel really satisfying to use, it's kind of just a bit tedious.
We'll never make it. Snake, clear a path.
I actually feel the same way about all of the truck sequences. I'm not sure what you would call them. But every single MGS game, except for the second game, has a little sequence where you're on a vehicle shooting a bunch of enemies. I never really liked any of those sequences in any of the MGS games, especially in the fourth game. Actually, I like the one in the third game. The one in the third game is okay when you're being chased by the Shagohod, but aside from that, the rest are pretty lame, in my opinion. Or at least they're okay the first time you play the game. It's just when you replay the game, they're kind of... When you replay through the games, the vehicle sequences are kind of the moments that I'm not really looking forward to. First time I played the game, they were fine because, you know, it was the first time I was doing them. But replaying them, I just find really tedious.
Not yet, Snake. It's not over yet. Liquid.
That's another thing I really like about this is just when you think it's all over, it just keeps going for another like half hour. You fight Metal Gear Rex and you defeat it and you think that's over, it's all over. But then all of a sudden you realise you have to fight Metal Gear Rex one more time. He has a second health bar. And then when you think it's all over because you've destroyed Metal Gear Rex for sure, you have to fist fight Liquid. And then after you've killed him, you think it's all over. But nope, you gotta escape Shadow Moses. And just when you think it's all over, turns out Liquid is still alive and you have to, well, fight him here. I wouldn't really call this a boss fight. I'm not sure what you would call it. Just a little sequence. I'm not sure what the strategy here is. Just hold square, just shoot him. He seems to pop up if you move the gun away from him. If you keep the gun on him, he seems to just stay down there. Huh. I guess swerve the gun back and forth. That works. I don't think I've ever died on this bit either. I don't think it's even possible for that timer to run out. You would run out of health way long before the timer runs out. I mean, I know you have 3 rations, but you would use them all up before the 10-minute timer goes off, I think. I wonder if Natasha has anything to say right now. I've never tried calling anyone doing this bit. Nope. Otacon? No. Okay. Gotta be close to the end now. Here we go. That's NGS1.
Meryl, are you okay?
Yeah, just a little shook up.
Meryl, can you move?
It's no good. I can't move.
What happened to Liquid?
I can't see him either.
Liquid's dead. Uh-oh.
Snake! Snake!
I always thought it was weird how he changes whites when he dies there. I'm not sure what's really up with that. I guess it's just to make his death seem more final, just to show he's really dead this time. Oh no, he's not white. He just turned white for that brief moment. Okay. I guess it was just for dramatic effect.
If he's dead, that means...
Don't say it, Snake.
What happened to the air raid? No stealth bombers in sight.
Snake, can you hear me?
Colonel.
Are you okay?
Colonel, what happened?
The Secretary of Defense has been arrested. Early retirement.
Arrested?
I was able to get into contact with the President. Metal Gear, the training exercise, all of it. It was all the Secretary of Defense acting alone.
Acting alone? What happened to the air raid and the nuclear strike?
The orders were rescinded. The F-117s and the B-2 Spirits have returned to the base. Once again, I have complete authority over this operation.
I see.
Washington isn't stupid enough to use nukes to cover up a few secrets.
I wonder about that.
In any case, the danger's over. Thanks, Snake.
Colonel, you can rest easy. Meryl's fine.
Really? Thanks. Thank you, Snake. Snake, I'm sorry. I kept a lot of things from you.
It's okay, Colonel.
Snake, I'm not a colonel.
Oh, that's right.
I've got a present for you. There's a snowmobile close to you. Mei Ling saw it on the satellite photos. This time of year, the glaciers are pretty calm. You should be able to ride right out of there. I'll bet the boys at the DIA and the NSA never expected you to come home alive.
Me neither. I better not show my face around here.
No danger of that. You two officially died after your Jeep sank into the ocean.
That's not too far from the truth.
Also, there's a helicopter waiting for you on Fox Island.
Dr. Hal Emmerich should be somewhere on the base. I want someone to bring him in.
I understand. Leave it to me.
Okay, Roy. Are you gonna be okay?
Don't worry. I've got an insurance policy. A hard copy of all Mei Ling's data. As long as I've got that, you, me, and Mei Ling will be fine.
The battery on these nanomachines will run out soon. They won't be able to follow us.
I guess we won't meet again.
Don't worry. I'll pay you a visit sometime.
Really? I look forward to that.
Roy, just tell me one thing.
What?
About Foxdie.
Meryl will be fine. She wasn't included in its programming.
What about me? It killed Liquid.
Naomi said that she wants to talk to you face to face about that.
How is she?
Don't worry. Mei Ling is with her right now. I'm switching over to Naomi.
Snake, it's me.
Naomi.
I heard about my brother.
I'm sorry. But he had one last message he wanted to say to you. He told me to tell you to forget about him and to go on with your own life.
Frankie said that?
Yeah. He also said he'll always love you. Naomi, your brother just saved you.
Yeah, so
me,
Snake never
the whole
told her
world.
that he was the one who
Fought
killed her
with every
parents.
ounce of strength
Forgot
in his
about that.
body.
Maybe.
I guess it's kind of best if Snake does keep that to
Maybe
himself.
he's finally found some peace. He wasn't really my brother anymore. Ever since he fought with you in Zanzibar, he's been like a ghost. A ghost looking for a place to die.
Naomi, Liquid died from Foxdie too. What about me? When am I gonna go?
That's up to you.
What do you mean?
Everybody dies when their time is up.
Yeah, so when's mine up?
It's up to you how you use the time left to you. Live, Snake. That's all I can say to you.
Each person is born with their fate written into their own genetic code. It's unchangeable, immutable. But that's not all there is to life. I finally realized that.
What I think is weird is that if you get the other ending where Mel dies, Campbell tells you on the codec just there that she was actually his daughter, because throughout the whole entire game you're led to believe that Meryl is actually his niece, but it turns out she is actually his daughter. I just find it weird that they only drop that bombshell if she dies. And the thing is, it's as if the ending wasn't sad enough to begin with. The fact that Meryl is dead. As if the ending isn't depressing enough, they reveal that she was actually his daughter as well. Just one final kick in the guts while you're down. But I find it weird that they hold that information from you if you let her live. Because it seems like a pretty big reveal. It's just weird that they only reveal it in one of the endings. And the thing is, they don't bring that up until MGS4 as well, so most people might play through these games without ever even knowing that if they never get the other ending. Because a lot of people will probably just beat this game. They might just get this ending first time round and never play the game ever again, and they'll never know about the other ending or about the fact that Meryl was actually his daughter. So when they start talking about her being his daughter in MGS4, it comes as a big shock to a lot of people.
And then live. Don't you think, Snake? Don't worry. I'm going to choose life too. Until today, I've always looked for a reason to live. But from here on, I'm going to just live. Genes exist to pass down our hopes and dreams for the future through our children. Living is a link to the future. That's how all life works. Loving each other, teaching each other. That's how we can change the world. I finally realized it. The true meaning of life. Thank you, Snake.
Look, I found this.
The bandana.
Let's keep it as a reminder.
Of what? A reminder of a successful mission? Or the first time we met?
A reminder of how to live.
Huh?
Until today, I've lived only for myself. Survival has been the only thing I cared about in my life.
That's not just you. That's how everyone is.
I only felt truly alive when I was staring death in the face. I don't know. Maybe it's written into my genes.
What about now? What do your genes say about your future now?
Maybe it's time I live for someone else.
Someone else?
Yeah. Someone like you. Maybe that's the real way to live.
So, where to, Snake?
David. My name's David.
Okay. So where to, Dave?
I always wondered if they named him after David Hayter, the voice actor.
Look for a new path.
I'm not sure. Like, if they revealed his name in Metal Gear 1 and 2,
a new purpose.
Obviously they just chose that name by coincidence
We'll
because obviously in those games Snake didn't have a voice actor. So is it just a coincidence that they named him David, or did they actually name him after David Hayter?
To the Aleutians, the caribou is a
So
symbol
I'm not
of
sure
life.
if they revealed Snake's name in the first two games or not.
For us too.
I played them sometime last year, so I wouldn't remember.
Spring brings new life to everything. It's a time for hope. I've lived here a long time, but Alaska has never looked more beautiful. The sky, the sea, the caribou, and most of all, you.
So smooth.
I think I'm gonna like this new life.
Come on. Let's enjoy life.
That's MGS1. There's so many of us, when we first played this game and it ended, we were just like, whoa, that was one crazy, this game had one crazy story. And hang on. So as I was saying, back in the day, when a lot of us finished this, we were like, well, that was one crazy story. And when you look at the sequels, once you've played the sequels and then you go back to play this game, the story is just so simple in comparison to the sequels. Like, we were not prepared for all of the crazy bullshit the sequels were going to throw at us and how crazy things were getting in the future. Yeah, but you know, I have a lot of fond memories of this game because as a kid, I think when I was about 4 or 5 years old, the game was obviously a bit too complex for me when I was that age. I think I tried to play it a few times, but I wasn't very good at it. I can't remember how old I was when I first beat the game, but I watched my dad play it when I was like 4 or 5 years old. I would watch him play it a lot. And although I didn't fully understand the story, because for kids this story is a bit much for them to, you know, fully grasp, obviously. I got the gist of it, you know, bad guys, they want to take over the world, whatever. That's basically what I was able to gather from it when I was a kid. But I just loved watching the crazy boss fights and the cutscenes. Like back then, I hadn't really seen anything quite like this. Like maybe there are games of this era which are kind of like this. Like I've never played the Final Fantasy games. Well, I played 1, 2, 4. I haven't played 7, which I know is supposed to be one of the best games ever made with a really great story. But back then I hadn't played anything quite story heavy, as story heavy as this, so this really blew my mind. I never quite saw something as cinematic as this before. Well, outside the movies, obviously. I've never seen a game this cinematic before as a kid, so it really left an impression on me. Okay, so that's the end of the credits, but Kojima loves his post-credits thing. Oh, it's not coming yet. It's after this one.
To be ruled by your genes. Humans can choose the type of life they want to live. The important thing is that you choose life. And then live.
Some words of wisdom from Naomi, and now to drop the big bombshell, the big twist of the game.
Yes, sir. The entire unit was wiped out. Those two are still alive. The Vector? Yes, sir. Foxdie should become activated soon, right on schedule. Yes, sir, I recovered all of Rex's dummy warhead data. No, sir, my cover is intact. Nobody knows who I really am. Yes, the DARPA chief knew my identity, but he's been disposed of. Yes, the inferior one was the winner after all. That's right. Until the very end, Liquid thought he was the inferior one. Yes, sir, I agree completely. It takes a well-balanced individual such as yourself to rule the world. No, sir. No one knows that you were the third one, Solidus. What should I do about the woman? Yes, sir. I'll keep her under surveillance. Yes. Thank you. Goodbye, Mr. President.
I always think that's funny about Ocelot because he kind of just disappears towards the end of the game. He never dies, he just disappears and you never see him again. So it's like, what happened to him? Where did he even go? And then you have that little post-credits scene just then which kind of reveals the fact that he was working with the President, who is the third clone of Big Boss. Because the last time you ever see Ocelot is in that computer room when they're talking about Foxdie and Outer Heaven and all that stuff. So I just think it's funny how he kind of just disappears from the game and you're wondering what ever happened to him. You're waiting for him to pop up later on in the game and he never does. And then it's not until after the credits you find out what happened. And although it's never said anywhere, like, within the games, I believe it was the President, Solidus, who gave Ocelot the antidote to Foxdie. He was given a vaccine before the whole incident, because obviously the President knew that Snake was being sent in with Foxdie. So I don't think it's said anywhere in the games, but apparently that's the case. That is because, again, they say that Psycho Mantis never got killed by Foxdie because he was wearing a gas mask. Sniper Wolf always took tranquilizers, so she was never affected by Foxdie. Liquid was eventually killed by Foxdie, so it raises the question of why. It does make you wonder, why isn't Ocelot dying? Especially since Ocelot says that Foxdie kills the older people first. and Ocelot seems pretty old. I mean, it's PS1 graphics, so you can't tell for sure, but he seems pretty old, and he sounds old, from what you can tell from these PS1 graphics. But it does raise the question of, well, how come he hasn't been killed yet? Since Foxdie kills old people first, Ocelot seems pretty old. But apparently he was given the vaccine by the president, which makes sense. So it's cool how everything, it does tie in. Everything ties in. Everything does make sense in the end. Yeah, so MGS1, one of my favourite games of all time. I'm not sure if it's my favourite MGS game. It has a lot of nostalgia value. That's the thing, when I judge MGS1, I want to try and distance myself from the nostalgia factor and try and judge it on its own merits, which it's kind of tough to try and distance yourself from the nostalgia, from how attached you are to the game, and try and look at it subjectively, especially from nowadays. Although, when you judge an old game, should you really judge it by today's standards or by the standards it had back then? That's one thing a lot of people kind of disagree on, and I'm not too sure myself. Yeah, okay, I guess that's it. Well, MGS2 is next, so I hope you tune in for MGS2. That's done. Thanks for watching, and don't really have anything else to say. Peace out.